First of all, I'm Emily Sarver. I'm an associate professor here in the Mining and Minerals Engineering Department, and I'm actually a graduate of our department. Back in 2004, I earned an undergraduate degree here, and then in '05, I earned my master's in mining, and my PhD is actually in environmental engineering. And so I work really on the environmental and also on the occupational health side in mining. I thought for today, I think there are several other presentations, and you may or may not be attending those to learn a little bit more about mining. But a lot of those we're going to talk about, various special looks at different applications, on high iPhones and critical materials and things like that. So I figured I would give more of sort of an overview of our curriculum and what mining engineers do, and kind of where some of our engineers are now. And then I figured I would touch on global sustainability, which is something I work on a lot in my group, and I also teach on, and maybe talk a little bit about undergraduate research because I know we have a lot of students that are interested in that. So I don't know how familiar you are with the field of mining and minerals engineering, but basically we produce all of the raw resources that are really demanded by society, and so we do that, for all different types of applications. We use construction materials and such all the time, right? You and I use those things every single day to get where we need to go, the houses and the buildings that we're in. We use all sorts of industrial minerals for things like agricultural purposes and for production of other raw materials and resources. And so here are a few, the common things that you may think of here. We of course produce metals, we produce energy resources, and then critical elements. So all of those things that are needed to make the fancy voltaics and wind power and all that kind of stuff, right? It comes from minerals. And so mining engineers produce all of that. This is the part where I would ask you if you're, I guess, familiar with, can you think of anything that we don't need raw mineral resources for?
Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, it really is the case that if we don't grow it, if it's not an agricultural type resource, or it's not something we produce with forestry, really and truly, it's a mined mineral resource is sort of the beginning of the supply chain for just about everything. And again, that includes things like construction. It includes all of our infrastructure, our automobiles, and the way we get from place to place. All of the piping that's in our buildings, our electronics, our energy supply, and the grid that goes along with that. Even when we think about moving into a low carbon kind of future, that still takes a lot of mineral resources to get this work done, even pharmaceuticals and food, right? So we need fertilizer to grow food in mass, and so we have to produce all of that. And mining engineers are, it's a really, really broad field because we produce all of these things. And certainly we are educating leaders in mining and the minerals fields here at Virginia Tech to work in any of these sectors. We like to think we've got a pretty exciting field because there's mineral resources located just about everywhere in the world, and that means that mining engineers work just about everywhere in the world, and that can often make for some exciting adventures. We tend to get a lot of students that say, I don't want to just go, work in the suburban area I grew up in. I want an adventure, right? I want to travel the world. I want to see different places. And those tend to be folks that fit really well in this field because it is quite global. Whoops. I would also note that our curriculum here at Virginia Tech is really quite broad. So we cover the gamut from beginning to end in terms of mining and production of resources. So everything from mineral exploration. So we do the geophysics and scoping of projects, estimating reserves, how big is that deposit in the subsurface, and what kind of mine design could we have in order to get at that. The mineral economics go with that. Of course, all of the operations. We've got a lot of folks that they want to work strictly in operations. They want to be there at the mine site every day and be managing things, and certainly that's what they're doing. Once we get the rock out of the ground, sometimes some of the fun challenge is how do you get the good stuff out of the rock then? And so we do have a lot of folks that work in processing and metallurgy, certainly in mine closure. Is a big area for us, and that post mining sort of land use, and we do a lot on the environmental side. If you can imagine, mines operate on the scale at which no other really human effort does, and they operate for really long periods of time. So a lot of what we do at mine sites is actually environmental management, and now we do a lot of community work as well. And then reclamation and monitoring. So I could talk to you about really any of those things in detail if you're interested. And we also work pretty frequently, and we're starting to send a lot more engineers into what I would call unconventional type projects. So we have folks that are going to work on solution mining projects, right? So we're designing systems on the surface that can actually mine underground without ever sending a person there. We might mine with solutions. We do a lot of autonomous systems, shale gas production, dredging. So things that ordinarily folks might not associate with mineral resource production and the typical kind of surface or underground mine that you might think of. We're sending a lot of engineers into these areas because our engineers are really well versed in a lot of the different physical, chemical types of processes that are needed in order to do these sort of advanced type projects. Um, we focus a lot in mine design. We've got folks that go in and work in this area specifically, mine operations. We do a lot in that area as well. As I mentioned, a lot of management, environmental management, as I mentioned, is just a huge part of what we need to do, and something that we train all engineers to do. Mineral processing, we've got lots of folks that want to go work with big pieces of equipment. That always seems to be exciting. Many of us were kids and loved to play with big pieces of equipment. And so we do a whole lot of that as well. And then this is just a sort of a listing of all of the other things that we might do in terms of where we send our engineers. So yeah, there's just no end to the number of things that folks can do with a mining engineering degree, which I think makes it quite attractive and quite fun for folks. I would say our department here at Virginia Tech, we are certainly recognized as a global leader in the field. Mining is, it's sort of a niche field in some ways, even though it's global and it supplies all of those raw resources. There are relatively few people that I would say work in the profession as engineers, and so they're really, really important, right? These are the folks that are actually leading companies and managing things, and we are known here at Virginia Tech for really our technical excellence, right? Having engineers that can get out on a job site, start from day one designing and doing great work, leadership skills, contemporary and global issues, right? These are the things that we know we absolutely have to work on. If we're not good neighbors, people won't want us in their community, and that's that's just the way it is. And so we definitely have engineers that know how to work with other stakeholders, and of course, everything that we do is really, really hands-on. If you want to sit behind a desk and kind of work on abstract things, mining is maybe not the right field. We are out in the field. We've got our hands on stuff all the time, and we're using all kinds of really cool technology at this point, right? So there are, as I mentioned, we do a lot in the way of autonomy, lots in the way of data analytics and processing that data, trying to understand how we can be better, how we can be more efficient, how we can be safer. We do a lot in the way with drones in terms of monitoring and surveying and mapping, just all kinds of really cool things that are going on right now. And we're able to offer a lot of that to our students right here on campus. I'll just give you a few facts and figures. Over the past 10 years or so, Virginia Tech has actually graduated about a quarter of all the mining engineers in this country, which is really kind of neat. I mean, what that says is that we have a really large program in a relatively small field, which is kind of cool. It also means that we're quite proud of that, and it means that our engineers, they don't have problems getting jobs, and they're certainly highly valued, which makes for a really nice network of people. We do have a proud history here at Virginia Tech because mining engineering was actually the first engineering degree awarded here at Virginia Tech, and that was in 1885. Job placement, as I mentioned, is really great. Most years, most of our students, when they walk across the stage at graduation to receive their diploma, they already have a full-time job. They've already, signed a contract and they're ready to go. And we're starting to see that a lot of our students are even doing that in like the fall semester of their senior year. They are just so highly sought. they're getting great job offers. Some of them are getting multiple job offers, and so we could not be happier about that. I would note that a lot of that is really due to the work that goes on here in trying to make sure that our students are also getting internship and co-op opportunities where they want them. And so we try to work very closely with every student to make sure that those opportunities are presented, and that they're going after them if they want them. I would also note that we do quite well in the way of scholarships, which is really an interest to a lot of students. I know it always was to me, but thanks to our friends and partners of this particular department, we give away at least $100,000 every year to our students, and that doesn't even include competitive scholarships that they're going after. So I would say more than half of the students in our department at this point are receiving scholarship support from our department, and that's really just due to the fact that we have a lot of good friends and industry partners that give money every year in order to support our students. So if you're interested in scholarships, this is really a good department to look at. We do a lot with our students in the way of professional development, as I mentioned. We've got a great academic advisor that works with our students on trying to make sure that they are placed for co-ops and for internships, and also for internships. And so we work really hard to make sure that there are opportunities available. We do our own career fair here in mining, which is always helpful. We do a lot of team building and inclusivity efforts as well. So our students really like to get together. We do all kinds of academic and design competitions, and our students are quite good and usually bring home an award every year. We've got a mine rescue team, which is a fun thing. Lots of community service among our students. So they're out doing things all the time. We take lots and lots of field trips, which is always fun. And it's fun for me as faculty, and even more field trips. And then we've got a number of different just social activities. So we've got what we call a mining sport competition team, and our students are always out doing other things as well together. So they go to concerts, they've got their own clubs and everything. So it's a smaller kind of department in the way that students really get to know each other, and they tend to like to spend their time together, which is really quite nice. There's a lot of camaraderie here. We do have 11 tenured and tenure track faculty, including myself, and we teach the majority of the courses here in the department. So students in mining, don't get, kind of tossed to a TA or a grad student every semester. We teach most of our own classes, and certainly if there is a grad student that wants a teaching experience, they're doing that with a lot of mentorship from a faculty member. So most of the classes here would be taught by faculty, and our faculty are really highly recognized within the field and within the engineering discipline in general. So we actually have 2 members of the National Academy here at Virginia Tech in mining. We do have lots of great, amazing student support as well. So I mentioned we've got a dedicated academic advisor who just works so closely and well with our students, and they absolutely love her, as do I. And we've got a writing coordinator that works on communications and technical writing with our students, which is amazing. Angelo is just such an asset. And we've actually twice been named an exemplary department for advising. So we do a lot of good work there, I think. We got all kinds of laboratories and fun things that students get to take part in as part of their courses, or maybe their undergraduate research or teams that they're working on. We've got students that are working on a number of different like NASA design teams, the Lunar Ice Challenge and dust challenges and things like this, which is really cool. And they use our laboratories. We do an awful lot of research in this department, which is great. And I think our students benefit from that quite a bit, either through undergraduate research or just the fact that, with faculty doing really high level research, all of that kind of trickles down in terms of benefits to everyone in the department. So that's really a good thing for us. And we're getting a new building, which is so exciting. I feel like I grew up in Holden Hall a little bit, and I've been raising my kids there. And right now it's under construction, being renovated, but we are due to move back in about a year. So about the time that you would be coming through, starting as a sophomore in an engineering discipline, is when we would be moved back into a new building. So really, really exciting times for us, and we just can't wait. And those are just some renderings of the building. So I thought with that was kind of what I had planned, just to give you a little bit of a taste of what we do here in mining and what's available through our department.